Andrew Huberman recently put up a large video related to growth mindset.
Yes.
And I saw you commented on one of his posts saying, are we really doing this still? I'll put the tweet up on the screen, that this is really supported by a lot of underpowered studies. And there's a lot of data that really sort of dispels the myth of growth mindset.
Yeah.
Talk about that a little bit. Well, first off, what is growth mindset and what does the research say about it?
Yeah. So again, I'm not an expert, but I'm very aware that this is research doesn't seem to be solid. So the growth mindset thing is, proposed by um, psychologist Carol Dweck, I think is her name, among others, and it's making this very strong claim that a short intervention with children that tells them that they should think that they can grow, that they're not, that their skills are not fixed, that they can learn more, and that the way that they're approaching things is not limited, but it's plastic. Can that just that short intervention leads to better school results later on. Right?
Hmm.
So there's a bunch of small studies that claimed that. And then there were a bunch of other studies that didn't quite claim it or didn't replicate it. And then Carol Dweck and others were saying, well, you're just not doing it right. You have to intervene like this, right? It's exactly like this. You have to do it. And then there was all this back and forth. But it was all part of the kind of the replication crisis that hit psychology first, probably, especially social psychology, where there were lots of things like this, whether it's growth mindset or power posing or whatever it is.
Yeah.
The idea we talked a little bit earlier, where, some brief intervention, the mind training things are the same, right? So brief intervention here makes some huge difference to your life, right? Or at least some useful, measurable outcome, right? Now, I'm all for telling kids that they can do better, that they can learn better,
Yeah,
that they
important distinction. We shouldn't do the
yeah,
opposite to children.
right, exactly. So just encouraging them to learn and saying, yeah, this is part of the process of being frustrated or failing is that you're learning how to do this and so on. That's all great. It's all part of traditional educational theory.
Yeah.
But the really, really big studies have just failed to replicate any sort of what I call the magic effects, right? The ones that are really incredible.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just unbelievable, right? That short an intervention would have this big effect, on somebody's life. And again, I guess the idea of, well, what happens in the next 10 minutes or the next hour, or the 2 weeks after you do the growth mindset thing every day for 2 weeks or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's inherently, to me, kind of just unlikely. And then the data, we know the methodology that showed the positive effects were from small studies and not well corrected and so on. And then the methodology from big studies and meta-analyses that's better done shows no effect. So, my conclusion is there's no effect.
Yeah.
And yet we keep hearing about it. And of
Yeah.
course, the thing is, like, I don't mind like telling people, talk like this to your kids. It's great. But usually, and I don't know if this was the case in the video that Andrew Huberman posted there, but oftentimes the growth mindset TM, right, that comes with a price tag. It's like
Yeah.
that's a program you pay for, right?
Yeah.
Those are the books. Those are $1 million. I mean, those are best-selling books, right?
Yeah.
Based on those kinds of paradigms.
And online courses.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so there's again, someone's making money. Someone's making money out of these claims.
Yeah.
And so it gets my goat a little bit, I gotta
Yeah.
say.
No,
Uh,
especially when somebody's making money is when it really irks me as well. But
yeah,
I guess as a general consensus, probably harmless unless you're spending money on it, and
yeah,
probably harmless unless you're doing it in replacement of action. You're sitting at home and you're employing some growth mindset protocol that doesn't involve actually doing anything.
yeah,
Like the left hand toothbrushing sort of stuff, where you're not actually engaging in a thing that will change your brain. You're just engaging in some vitamin protocol that you're hoping
yeah,
will have a huge effect, and that's just not how the brain is wired. It wouldn't be useful for the brain to be wired that way, and it's
yeah,
important that it's not. And it's
yeah,
it's not good
exactly.
to have that mindset either, that you can so easily change your brain.
Yeah, and what would be good would be to say to students, and sports coaches use this all the time, is like, visualize what success will look like and the work that you need to do. I mean, you're training for a triathlon, right? You know what it
Yeah.
takes to do that consistently through time. And the same thing is true for, academic study. And you know
Yeah.
too, having been through it, what it takes to do that, that it's sustained effort through time, but also believing that you can get there. Of course,
Yeah.
that's really important. But just saying to somebody, yeah, you can do it, and then thinking that they can sit back and wait for this magic to happen,
Yeah.
that's the danger, I think, is that they're
Exactly. If you enjoyed that short podcast clip, then I'm so confident you will enjoy even more the full conversation. You can click it here. Click it. Come on. You know you want to. Click it.